The crystal dome of Citadel Elysium glittered against the backdrop of infinite stars. From her observation deck, Ambassador Aurelia Tran watched three suns, Tylan, Zorak, and Hestia, forming a perfect triangle around the floating metropolis. For 50 years, humanity had been part of this grand experiment, called the Galactic Council, or Concilio, as it was known in diplomatic circles. 50 years of trade agreements, technology restrictions, and careful oversight by the established empires. Aurelia adjusted her formal suit, a deep blue outfit with silver trim representing Earth Space Confederation. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. Blue for Earth's oceans, silver for humanity's technological aspirations. As she prepared for another weekly meeting, she couldn't help but feel the familiar weight of frustration settling in her chest. "Ambassador, the Corvin delegation has requested to speak with you before the session," her assistant mentioned, interrupting her thoughts. "Let me guess," Aurelia replied. "Another friendly reminder about our agricultural export proposal?" "I believe so, Ambassador." Aurelia nodded, her expression neutral despite her internal turmoil. For 3 years, she had championed the Terra Nova Agricultural Expansion Project, which would allow Earth farmers to export food to 3 star systems in the central region. For 3 years, the Corvin representatives had blocked it with increasingly arbitrary objections. Walking through the pristine white corridors of Citadel Elysium, Aurelia reflected on humanity's position in the Council. The Earth Space Confederation had joined with such hope, such optimism. Yet, after 5 decades, humans remained under strict management. Near light-speed technology was limited to low-grade licenses. Human resources were bound by peace priority treaties, and heavy tariffs weighed on both agriculture and minerals. The council chamber itself was a marvel of engineering, a vast circular room with hovering platforms arranged in concentric rings. At the center sat representatives of the 3 major powers: the Corvin Alliance, an old empire built on tradition and political maneuvering; the Zinthar Federation, masters of advanced technology and information control; and the Dirax hegemony, a military powerhouse that believed in peace through strength. Senator Darvak, the Corvin representative, stood imposingly as Aurelia approached. His scaled skin shimmered under the artificial light, and his 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of impatience in Corvin physiology. "Ambassador Tran," he greeted, his translator converting his guttural language into standard English. "I hope you've reconsidered your position on the Terra Nova project." "I've reviewed all data again, Senator," Aurelia replied calmly. "Earth's agricultural exports pose no threat to Corvin markets. Our crops are compatible with most humanoid species, and our production capacity could alleviate food shortages in the Mintaka sector." "Compatibility is precisely the concern," Darvak countered. "Your Earth foods grow too efficiently, too abundantly. The economic disruption would be significant." Before Aurelia could respond, a soft chime announced the beginning of the session. Taking her seat at the outer ring, the position assigned to newer members, she prepared for another diplomatic battle. The session proceeded, as most did. Trade agreements were ratified, boundary disputes were arbitrated, and scientific expeditions were authorized, most benefiting the core powers or their closest allies. When the Terra Nova project finally appeared on the agenda, Aurelia straightened her posture and activated her presentation hologram. "Distinguished representatives," she began. "The Terra Nova Agricultural Expansion Project addresses 3 critical needs: diversification of food sources for central region planets, utilization of Earth's sustainable farming methods, and economic growth for developing colonies." Senator Darvak rose immediately. "While we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, we have serious concerns about biological impact. Earth vegetation grows at rates that could disrupt established ecological systems." Aurelia countered with data from compatibility studies, but Darvak waved them away. These studies are preliminary at best. We propose postponing this initiative for at least 50 years to verify biological impacts properly. 50 years? Aurelia couldn't hide her shock. Senator, people are experiencing food shortages now. Our crops have been tested extensively. We have too much evidence that humans cannot comply with interstellar standards. Darvak interrupted. The Polaris incident demonstrated that. The Polaris incident, a minor trade dispute blown out of proportion and used repeatedly to justify restrictions on human activities. Aurelia had studied it extensively. The actual evidence showed human traders had followed all regulations. I request specific scientific evidence for these concerns, Aurelia demanded, her voice firm but controlled. Before Darvak could respond, Rear Admiral Seltar of the Dirax hegemony stood. The imposing military leader's uniform bore countless medals from conflicts Aurelia had only read about in historical archives. The Council should consider implementing a technology quarantine on certain human patents related to near-light-speed engines. Seltar announced, Our intelligence suggests potential destabilizing applications. The chamber fell silent. Technology quarantine was a severe measure, essentially confiscating intellectual property under the guise of security concerns. In that moment, clarity struck Aurelia with the force of a supernova. The Council didn't want humanity to develop. The three powers were systematically ensuring Earth remained a client state, rather than an equal partner. The human delegation will be considering other options, she stated, her voice carrying across the chamber. Senator Darvak's scales flared in alarm. Ambassador Tran, such statements border on threatening Council unity. I'm simply stating a fact. Senator, if the Council continues to impose arbitrary restrictions on human development, we must evaluate alternatives. Aurelia gathered her materials, maintaining perfect composure despite the tension crackling in the air. This session has been illuminating. As she exited the chamber, whispers erupted behind her. She had crossed an invisible line, challenged the established order. Her communicator buzzed immediately with messages from Earth officials demanding explanations. Back in her quarters, Aurelia initiated a secure connection to Earth. The holographic projection of Intelligence Director Karen Yeo materialized. Her sharp features set in a concerned expression. Your statement caused quite a stir, Ambassador, Director Yeo said without preamble. It was time. Karen, they're systematically blocking us at every turn. The Terra Nova project rejection was just the latest example. Aurelia ran a hand through her dark hair. I need to speak with Admiral Palmer. It's time to activate Aurora Exodus. Director Yeo's expression remained neutral, but her eyes betrayed her surprise. Aurora Exodus was developed as a contingency. Aurelia, are you certain? I've never been more certain of anything. The Council doesn't see us as partners. They see us as subjects. Within hours, Admiral Joshua Palmer joined the secure call. His weathered face showed the strain of recent months. As head of the departure fleet, he had been quietly preparing for this possibility. We've identified 17 viable systems in what the Council designates as dead space, regions they've written off as worthless. Admiral Palmer reported. Captain Marcus Lee's ship, Pioneer's Dawn, has been conducting surveys. The Kepler 442 system shows particular promise. And the evacuation capacity? Aurelia asked. We can move critical research facilities and agricultural settlements within 6 months. The Pioneer's Dawn is currently in the Kepler void, gathering geological and resource data. Director Yeo added, Dr. Selene Park has assembled a team developing self-sustaining farming techniques. If her prototypes work, we could establish viable colonies even on marginal worlds. Aurelia absorbed this information, weighing the monumental decision before her. Begin Phase 1. Keep it quiet. We need to maintain diplomatic presence while preparations continue. As the call ended, Aurelia gazed out at the three suns surrounding Citadel Elysium. For the first time in years, she felt something beyond frustration, hope. Aboard the scout ship Pioneer's Dawn, Captain Marcus Lee studied the sensor readings with growing excitement. The Kepler 442 system, particularly its second planet, showed remarkable promise. Though dismissed by Council surveys as mineral poor and climatically unstable, his team's findings told a different story. "Captain, you should see this," his science officer called from the geological station. The holographic display showed crystalline formations unlike anything in Earth databases. More intriguing were the energy signatures emanating from them, faint but unmistakable signs of technological activity. "We're not alone here," Marcus realized. "Initiate first contact protocols, but maintain observation distance." Over the next 3 days, the Pioneer's Dawn carefully documented the civilization they discovered. The Lithari, as they called themselves, were a crystalline species who could manipulate geological formations. They lived in harmony with their planet's harsh conditions, using silicon-based technology that Council species had largely ignored as primitive. When Marcus finally authorized contact, he was surprised by the Lithari's response, not fear or aggression, but cautious welcome. They had been aware of the Council for generations, but had been deemed too undeveloped for membership. Instead, they had suffered from unauthorized mining operations that Council authorities ignored. "Your arrival is unexpected, but not unwelcome." The Lithari representative, a crystalline entity named Silith, communicated through a rudimentary translator. "Few Council vessels venture here." "We're not exactly here on Council business," Marcus admitted, after establishing trust. "My people are seeking new homes, away from Council oversight." Silith's crystal structure shifted, creating patterns that the translator interpreted as intrigue. "You seek independence from the Concilio? This is unprecedented." Over the following weeks, a remarkable partnership began to form. The Lithari introduced Marcus's team to other overlooked species in nearby systems: the aquatic Nereids, masters of water purification and marine technologies, and the insectoid Chithari, whose hive-mind approach to computing had created biocircuits far beyond what the Council had imagined possible. Together, they established the Terra Lithar Ecological Complex, a prototype agricultural settlement that combined human farming techniques with Lithari soil transformation abilities. The results exceeded all expectations. Crops flourished in the modified soil, and the Lithari's crystal technologies provided natural greenhouse structures that maximized growth. Marcus transmitted encrypted reports back to Earth, documenting their success and the alliances forming with these forgotten species. "We've found more than resources," he wrote to Admiral Palmer. "We've found true partners who understand oppression and the value of mutual respect." Meanwhile, on Citadel Elysium, the diplomatic situation deteriorated rapidly. Dr. Rovek, the Zinthar representative, had launched sophisticated cyber attacks against ESC databases, attempting to uncover whatever other options Aurelia had mentioned. Director Yeo's countermeasures, a security network codenamed Orion Fortress, had repelled the attacks. But the message was clear. The Council powers were growing suspicious. In a closed emergency session, Council members confronted Aurelia with satellite images of the Terra Lithar complex. "This unauthorized settlement violates multiple treaties," Senator Darvak declared. His scales fully flared in anger. "You've breached Council-designated boundaries and interfered with undeveloped species." Aurelia remained composed, though her heart raced. Interesting. The Lithari have been suffering from illegal mining operations for decades, yet the Council never intervened. Now that we're helping them develop sustainable agriculture, suddenly there's concern? "The human delegation was not authorized to establish outposts in the Kepler Void," Rear Admiral Seltar growled. "The Kepler Void was designated as worthless dead space in your own surveys," Aurelia countered, unveiling Dr. Celine Park's scientific report on the Terra Lithar project's biological stability. If the Council continues to suppress us, humanity must protect itself. We've found sustainable solutions in areas you considered useless. The session descended into chaos. Emergency votes were called, resulting in a contact ban with dead space, forbidding all council members from surveying or researching these regions. The measure passed with a 2/3 majority. Aurelia left the chamber without comment, her silence more powerful than any protest. The decision had been made. Earth Space Confederation would chart its own course. Back on Earth, Director Yeo coordinated with Communications, Director Leo Nakamura, to establish a secret satellite network, Aurora Signal. They began broadcasting news of humanity's withdrawal from the Council, including live footage of collaborations with the Lithari and Nereids. The broadcasts caused ripples across client states throughout the galaxy. The Euridian Syndicate, a microchip manufacturing planet under Zinthar influence, announced trade disconnection from the Council. The Draconian Mining Consortium, a key diamond extraction alliance under Corvan control, reduced resource shipments to the central region. Support for Aurora Exodus spread among peripheral planets and outposts. Many had suffered similar restrictions and saw humanity's bold move as inspiration. Admiral Palmer presided over the first signal ceremony at Tycho 7 Station, marking the moment when the supply ship EOS Vanguard departed the Earth system for the Kepler Void with supplies and settlers. Captain Marcus Lee coordinated a small scout fleet to guide the migration ships to neighboring stars. The final council session before Earth's official withdrawal buzzed with tension. Representatives from Corvan, Zinthar, and Dirax gathered at Citadel Elysium for what would become a historic meeting. Aurelia entered wearing ceremonial robes from Hestia Prime, incorporating vibrant red, a symbol of determination. She read a letter from Earth's president requesting termination of all privileges and announcing ESC's separation from the Council. "The Galactic Council is no longer home to free research," she declared. "We have found a new truth: genuine cooperation without imposition. Therefore, humanity withdraws effective immediately." The chamber erupted. "You betray our collective trust," Senator Darvak shouted. "Humanity will face consequences if you don't reconsider," Dr. Rovek warned. "We reserve the right to use military force to compel human compliance with treaties," Rear Admiral Seltar threatened. Aurelia's final offer cut through the noise. "If you truly believe we are a threat, prove it. But we will not wait for a peace tainted by deception. We choose freedom." The session collapsed into disorder. Aurelia and her delegation departed immediately, broadcasting the signal to withdraw ESC and concluding with a promise: "We shall meet again when we are ready." The Corvan Strike Fleet, 47 warships, moved into space around the Kepler Void, intending to use military presence to force ESC back into compliance. ESC responded with the multi-species coalition fleet, including Marcus Lee's Pioneer's Dawn, the EOS Vanguard, the I-Swift carrier medical support vessel, and 4 escort ships from Lithari, Nereids, and Chithari allies. When Corvan ships launched continuous scans to locate ESC vessels, the phasing field technology of the Alliance prototypes activated, causing 10 Corvan warships to temporarily lose their targets. Suddenly, self-piloting drones designed by the Nereids appeared from behind, using plasma thermal beam technology to lock onto Corvan armored shields. The situation evolved rapidly. 5 Corvan warships caught fire, with command switching to emergency mode. Rear Admiral Seltar was forced to order a retreat. Marcus Lee transmitted directly to Aurelia. "They've withdrawn. We've maintained our defensive line without losing a single ship. The symbiotic alliance forces have demonstrated unprecedented unity and strength." Aurelia addressed a multi-planetary audience, praising the spirit of cooperation and calling on other civilizations to join a new alliance where space has no boundaries. At Citadel Elysium, the Corvan, Zinthar, and Dirax factions panicked. A final emergency session at 3 a.m. declared suspension of all military operations, Restructuring of the Council Constitution. For the first time in history, the Council failed to reach a consensus decision. The immediate aftermath saw the formation of a new alliance. The Harmony Nexus Coordination Station was established in Hestia Prime Orbit. The Multi-Species Alliance, Harmony Alliance, published an open charter, inviting any species wishing to cooperate based on principles of diversity, equality, and creativity. Ambassador Aurelia collaborated with Lithari, Nereids, and Chithari leaders to build the Alliance Charter, establishing the annual Conclave of Founders for joint decision-making. The Corvin, Zinthar, and Dyrax factions called an internal meeting on planet Tiras to discuss restructuring. Corvin wanted to increase military presence around Earth. Zinthar proposed a hard technology embargo, banning export of next-generation microchips. Dyrax was severely divided between the Strike Quickly, Draconian faction, and the Seek Reconciliation, Moderate faction. New allies revealed the failures of the old system. The Nereids sent scientific reports to Harmony Nexus. Seawater desalination technology rapidly spreading across the LW-49 system. The Chithari coordinated the Biocircuit Project, Biological Consciousness Network, allowing automated environmental control. The Lithari shared Geo-Regan technology to regenerate barren lands. All these innovations combined with human knowledge created development rates surpassing the Council's old dynasty. Internal crisis rocked the Council. The Draconian faction, Dyrax, rebelled, demanding force to stop the Renegade Alliance, Harmony Alliance. The Corvin faction split. Some generals strongly supported total war to destroy the alliance, while others called for emergency negotiations, recognizing that Corvin's economy was depleting. The Zinthar faction demanded complete information blockade, banning all publication of data related to Harmony Nexus, closing microchip technology, and shutting down all cooperation channels. Senator Darvak attempted to maintain dominance by forcing client states to sign exclusivity treaties, but few responded positively. The slow dissolution of the Galactic Council became evident. Over 60 client states, including 7 founding Corvin members, withdrew from the Council, signing agreements to join the Harmony Alliance. Separation negotiations proliferated. Planet Gravitia, formerly a weapons production center, expressed intent to terminate all negotiations with Corvin to invest in recycling technology and high-tech agriculture. Financial markets collapsed. The Council Economic Index, Galactic Index, fell 85% compared to 3 years prior. The largest partner, Syndicate Zapiria, officially announced complete capital withdrawal from the Council. The final secession session saw fewer than 50 member planets remaining, mostly long-dependent planets. In the final vote, 40 out of 50 members agreed to dissolve the Galactic Council. Senator Darvak, in his farewell address, admitted, "We became too complacent. I hope future generations won't repeat our mistakes." He offered best wishes. May the Harmony Alliance be a harbor of freedom. A bitter concession. The symbolic image remained. Citadel Elysium, a floating city, slowly decreased altitude, closed all communication ports, and faded into space's darkness. A new order established itself. Harmony Nexus officially became the Open Alliance capital. The Open Charter was broadly published. Freedom of research and open technology. All elected members having equal voices. Focus on legal protection for diverse biospheres. Prevention of all forms of exploitation. And encouragement of collective creativity. Revolutionary projects emerged. Lighthouse Network. Supreme Broadcasting Station Network. Creating instant communication across Alliance territory. Transmission times measured in nanoseconds. Biogenesis. ARC, tasked with preserving valuable medicinal species, promising scientific microorganisms stored in a cryosphere network. Celestial Commons, resource sharing space between planets, allowing valuable material transfer without cumbersome trade negotiations. The key figures evolved in their roles. Marcus Lee, from scout ship commander to open journey admiral, leading the multi-species exploration fleet, continuing to reach toward Andromeda to connect with new civilizations. Aurelia Tran, from ESC ambassador to first Secretary General of the Harmony Alliance, a female leader shaping multi-species education policies and cultural harmony. Intelligence Director Karen Yeo, establishing the Future Institute, specializing in interplanetary cybersecurity research, guiding open security policies. The common image, a blue azure smoke, blue aurora, launched into Harmony Nexus skies, symbolizing the light of hope spreading across the galaxy. Preliminary reports showed cooperation trends between the Harmony Alliance and Andromeda civilization in progress. Marcus Lee led a squadron departing for Andromeda's outer regions to contact silicon-based lifeforms humans had never encountered. And that was the day humanity withdrew from the Galactic Council. The day that began a new era, when the universe was no longer limited by power divides and prejudice. A new world awaits us, with endless horizons of hope and creativity. Captain Marcus Lee stood on the observation deck of the Harmony Nexus, watching as the newly commissioned exploration vessel, Boundless, prepared for its maiden voyage to the outer reaches of Andromeda. The sleek ship incorporated technologies from all founding species of the Alliance: human near-light engines, Lithari crystal navigation systems, Nereid water recycling, and Chithari biocircuits. "Nervous about the mission?" Aurelia asked, joining him at the viewport. "Not nervous," Marcus replied, his eyes fixed on the ship. More humbled. 5 years ago, we were fighting for the right to sell vegetables to neighboring systems. Now we're about to make contact with silicon-based intelligences 12 galaxies away. Aurelia smiled, the silver in her hair catching the light of distant stars. Her journey from ambassador to Secretary General had aged her, but her eyes remained as determined as ever. The latest reports from the biogenesis arc show 97% viability in cross-species medical applications, she noted. Dr. Park's team has developed treatments that work across biological kingdoms. Something the Council claimed was impossible, Marcus observed. They claimed many things were impossible, Aurelia replied, mostly to maintain control. A gentle chime interrupted their conversation, the Lighthouse network announcing an incoming transmission. A holographic projection materialized, showing a Corvin female with subdued scale coloration. "Secretary General Tran," the Corvin greeted formally. "I am Ambassador Vela, representing the reformed Corvin territories." Aurelia straightened, maintaining diplomatic composure despite her surprise. The Corvin had splintered after the Council's collapse, with most worlds joining the Alliance, while a few traditionalist systems maintained isolation. "Ambassador Vela, this is unexpected. How may the Alliance assist you?" After much deliberation, the reformed territories wish to apply for membership in the Harmony Alliance, Vela stated, her translator conveying the solemnity in her tone. "Our isolation has proven unsustainable." Marcus watched Aurelia's expression shift from surprise to careful neutrality. "We welcome your application, Ambassador. All who accept the Open Charter are considered for membership. I'll arrange for representatives to meet with your delegation." After the transmission ended, Marcus turned to Aurelia. "Did you ever imagine the Corvin would come to us?" "Truth finds its way eventually," she replied, "even through the hardest scales." As they spoke, the Boundless ignited its engines, a blue azure glow enveloping the ship as it prepared to depart. Across the Harmony Nexus, beings of all species gathered to watch. "You know," Marcus said thoughtfully, "when we withdrew from the Council, many thought it was the end, the collapse of order, the beginning of chaos. Instead, it was just the beginning," Aurelia finished. The day humans withdrew from the Galactic Council was the day the universe truly began to unite. The boundless accelerated, leaving a trail of sapphire light as it vanished into the depths of space, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of a truly united galaxy. In the quiet observation deck, as representatives of a dozen species prepared for the next conclave of founders, the promise of a future without artificial boundaries seemed not just possible, but inevitable. To new beginnings, Marcus offered. And endless horizons, Aurelia replied, as the stars continued their eternal dance around them. The end.